On a cold November afternoon in 1969, the sprawling campus of Penn State University bustled with the usual activity of students hurrying between classes. In the midst of this ordinary day, Betsy Aardsma, bright and diligent 22-year-old graduate student, made her way to the university's Patty Library. Betsy had plans for the weekend, but first she needed to do some research. Unbeknownst to her, this visit to the library would be her last. The library, a sanctuary of silence and studious focus, suddenly became the setting for an unimaginable horror. Sometime around 4:45 p.m., as Betsy was in the stacks of level 2, a figure emerged from the shadows. In a swift, brutal motion, Betsy was stabbed a single time in the chest. Force of the blow was such that it pierced her heart. The attack was so quick and precise that she couldn't even cry out. Students nearby heard only the sound of falling books and assumed someone had tripped. Moments later, another student found Betsy collapsed between the shelves. At first glance, she appeared to have fainted. As the student and others tried to help, they noticed the blood. Panic ensued, and library staff called for an ambulance. Betsy was rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. The single fatal wound had done its grim work, and she was pronounced dead upon arrival. The serene academic atmosphere of Penn State was shattered by the stark reality of murder. Campus police and state troopers quickly descended upon the library. The crime scene was chaotic. Crucial evidence was potentially compromised by the initial rush to aid Betsy. The murder weapon was nowhere to be found. Witnesses provided varying accounts, but none saw the attacker clearly. Some recalled a young man in a red jacket leaving the area hurriedly, but the description was too vague to yield immediate results. The investigation was off to a frustrating start. Investigators delved into Betsy's background, searching for any clues that might explain why someone would want to kill her. Originally from Holland, Michigan, Betsy was the epitome of a good student and a beloved friend. She was pursuing a degree in English literature and planned to join the Peace Corps. Betsy's life was filled with promise and devoid of enemies. Her wholesome image and lack of controversial connections left the authorities with no clear motive. As days turned into weeks, theories began to swirl. Was the murder a crime of passion, a random act of violence, or was there something more sinister at play? Some speculated that Betsy had stumbled upon a secret in the library, perhaps witnessing something she shouldn't have. Others suggested a stalker, someone who had been watching her movements and chose the isolated library stacks to strike. Each theory seemed plausible, yet none could be substantiated. The mysterious figure in the red jacket remained a central focus. Police canvassed the campus, questioning anyone who might have seen something. A sketch of the suspect was circulated, but leads were scarce. The image of a young man, possibly a fellow student, haunted the investigation. Despite the efforts, the suspect seemed to vanish into thin air, phantoms slipping through the cracks of the inquiry. Betsy's murder sent shockwaves through the university and the wider community. Students, once carefree, now walked the campus in fear, looking over their shoulders. The library, once a place of learning and tranquility, became a site of whispered horror. Parents of students demanded increased security, and the administration struggled to reassure everyone that the campus was safe. The shadow of Betsy's death loomed large, altering the atmosphere of Penn State irrevocably. As months turned into years, the investigation slowly turned cold. Tips dwindled, and leads dried up. The initial frenzy of activity gave way to the grim realization that Betsy's killer might never be caught. Yet the case remained open, a testament to an unresolved wrong. Detectives periodically reviewed the evidence, hoping for a breakthrough, but Betsy's file gathered dust in the archives of unsolved crimes. Decades later, the murder of Betsy Aardsma still lingers in the collective memory of Penn State University. Advances in forensic science have reignited hopes of solving the case, but no definitive answers have emerged. Betsy's story is one of a life abruptly ended, a bright future extinguished in an act of senseless violence. Her murder remains an enduring mystery, a dark chapter in the history of an institution dedicated to enlightenment and knowledge.